Alright, this is a Redshire game on the Tier 7 German light tank that I call the Aufkl Panther. They recently buffed the gun on this. They increased the rate of fire by I think it's like 15 to 20%. And so it's kind of an interesting tank now for that reason. It has what was the old Konish gun that was on like the 3601, and so it doesn't do a whole lot of damage per shell. You know, it's like it's 135 or something like that. Yeah, but with APCR it has 221 pen. And so we're playing Redshire, and so there's these two ditches on Redshire. There's like one right here and then one on the other side. And getting tanks up here is important because you can get a lot of intel. So the first place that I'm going to go, particularly in a fast tank, is up here to try to get an idea of what their western dispersion is. And at the same time, I'm watching what my team does to see where they go, right? So I see we're sending the majority of our heavy tanks to the east, and so they'll probably camp in this area. And we're sending a bunch of, well, not a bunch, a few tanks over to the west. But we're sending no tanks to the middle, so I have to recognize that I'm not going to have any fire support if I get pushed here, so I have to be ready to go. And so we see that their Wheezy 131 is pushing down the one line, and he's just going to completely YOLO. And I'm sitting here, and eventually when he gets far enough down here, he's going to light me. But I want to see what else what else I can light on this side. And then I'm turning around now because I'm getting ready to go. And now it's go time. And then again, the reason why I'm leaving is because of a lack of support here. So if anything that's over here decides to just push me, so I'm in a tier 7 light tank, they can just, you know, bully me there. So I need to get out of there. And then so now I'm watching our dispersion, right? We have an IS and a Roomba in the base guarding the Arty. We've got an M103 and the SU100, I'm sorry, SU152 in the back of the base over here guarding another Arty position. So this is not a very good dispersion. We're light on this side, but for what we've seen so far, and then this other E75 pops up here. So we know that there's 2 9s and 2 8s on the side at the very least. We don't know what's over here yet, but we've only got 3 tanks there, so those guys probably aren't going to push, at least at this time. And so I'm waiting to see if these guys push. I can't be too aggressive in the middle here because it's really easy for me to get shot up. And so I'm trying to see if I can spot anything on this hill. Whenever you are in a match like this where not many tanks are lit, you're in the middle, right? These guys haven't spotted anything. You want to try to see if you can get some intel. And so we see that they sent at least a couple of their tanks there in the WC-120 over here. And here is about when I was streaming this is when Twitch started screwing up and dropped my stream. So like I alt-tabbed out to get it, and I was like, oh, I'm lit. So I restarted the stream, and then I had to like go and check to make sure it was actually working. Thanks, Twitch. You ruined my game. In the meantime, I see that they still have some more guys over here. Now, what you don't want to be too aggressive on this side and push up too far if you're these guys, because you're gonna lose your fire support. Typically, what's done on this map is that you'll, like in organized play, you'll move up a little bit here, and then you'll move up a little bit on the hill, and then they'll be able to sort of cover each other. So these guys, it looks like they're pretty evenly matched over there, so I think that they'll be fine for a little while. These guys on this side, they're pretty overmatched, so I have to try to see if I can find some shots. Unfortunately, I don't find some shots for a while, so I'm going to play this in 2x for a little bit. But nobody's pushing across the middle yet. Okay, now that Black Prince is sort of pushing across the middle. But he's going to get killed pretty easily because he's basically in the open. And then I'm just looking for shots on these guys still. Their E75 in the back is low, but And I'm thinking about pushing on this side, but we haven't spotted the Ferdinand or the JP2 yet, and so I'm fairly certain that at least one of them is behind him. So I'm not going to push that middle yet. And also, so they're pushing up here, so when they push up here, I just have to be sure that they don't have guys like over here shooting our guys on the side. That's what the sort of staggering is. It goes from both sides, basically. And then these guys push them back over here, but then they're going to push in, which is going to be their downfall, unfortunately. And so we actually had a nice health lead after they beat those guys over here initially, but when they start pushing in, you start to lose it. This E75, though, is pushing down on this one line. And I'm keeping an eye on this side because this WZ that was, I think is still at full health, came in on that side. So I get the feeling that he might be able to wipe out these guys. This is the SU-152 and the M103 that was camped back here at the beginning of the game. So you have to think that maybe they're not so strategically inclined. They're pushing their low. One of the bad things that they did on this side is that they sort of push in one at a time. I still can't take the low just by myself, though. Not without taking a significant amount of damage, considering that at least the Ferdinand and or the JP are back here. But this low keeps pushing forward, so that gives us an opportunity to take him out, which is always plus. And then I glance back over here and see that these guys are dying. And so I start driving over here, but then I'm like, oh, it looks like they're okay. You know, that T-34 is one shot, and those guys have like 80% health each. So I'm like, they'll be fine. And then the SU gets owned. And then I'm like, oh, okay, M103 against a JP, he's got that. Or maybe not. And so now I'm thinking, oh man, now I gotta go over here and over here. And then suddenly, nope, SU-14-2 takes out the JP. So now it's just this E75, which is already low health. This is that second E75 that was basically one shot on this side. We know that the Ferdinand is right here, right? So that's all of their tanks. And so I don't really have a good shot on this E75, and I get the feeling that he's going to camp there for a while. So what I'm going to do is try to see how... this Ferdinand hasn't been lit in a while. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out where he is. And then the best way to do that is to be on a hill. That way if you get lit, you just go off the hill on the opposite way from wherever he's at. And in this particular case, I happen to light an arty, so yay. But I am lit, and I'm not exactly sure from what. It might have actually been the Ferdinand, because when I loop back through here, the Ferdinand is right there. So I know where the Ferdinand is, I know where the E75 is, so then the best thing to do, you know, neither of them can really prevent me from just driving into their base. So the best thing for me to do is to go and spot arty. And so the Crusader SPG took out that GW Panther that was lit a little bit earlier. And then I just kind of assume that arty's going to take out that guy, because he's not even moving. And they do. Yay. And then what I want to do is I want to see if that last artillery is over on this side, so I drive over here. Which it turns out he's not, but always good to know. And in the meantime, that Waffle pushed the one-shot E-75 and took him out, which is good. And then I'm going back here through the back line to find the artillery. And then it's just the Ferdinand, and then so basically in this situation you look at your health and you go, okay, I have 725 health. The Ferdinand, you know, has an alpha of 490, so I can take a shot from the Ferdinand, so I can drive straight at him and just to get onto his flank, which is, he kind of surprised me by being like right there, but okay. And already tries to shoot me or him, I don't know, I can't really tell. But anyways, so one of the things I wanted to illustrate is that the center of the map is actually pretty important, particularly once they start pushing down these sides, because you can cover this side, especially on the west. Like I got free shots on the E-75, you know, the low, the BP, and if that 5100 didn't die before he even got across, then I would have had shots on him as well. So like this like the 1 line and the 4 line tend to have good synergy, so which is why you want something preferably with a little bit more oomph offensively than an awful Panther in the middle, but in a pinch it's due. The other thing is that it's a lot of the game is about tank counting, you know, especially when they've only got a few tanks left. You know that they're going to have this open avenue through the 6 line, 7 line to drive into their arty, and sometimes it's more important to do that than it is to necessarily flank a tank destroyer right off.